Failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said, there is no case. There's no case. They kept saying, there's no case.
Welcome to The Factor Uncensored. It's a big story tonight. Former President Donald Trump arrested and charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Our guests are here on The Factor Uncensored. He's back in Mar-a-Lago now, Florida, after his arraignment in New York City earlier today at 1:30. Prosecutors say the former president was part of an unlawful plan to suppress negative information that would hurt his campaign back in 2016. This included a payment of $130,000 to adult film star actress Stormy Daniels. Trump says he's not guilty. His lawyers say the case is weak as water at a margarita night. Our guests are here to tackle it on The Factor Uncensored. You know, I had to throw that last line in, Dr. Ruth. You know how we... So, Dr. David Brenham from the University of Houston downtown, first of all, your thoughts on how the process went today?
I think the process went as planned. The issue is, of course, that you have to shut down half of Manhattan to do this, and you are spending a whole lot of taxpayer dollars in the process. So I think in the long run, somebody's going to sit back and say, okay, was this worth doing all this? We're going to shut down things. We're going to have the Secret Service have to pull everything in. We're going to have the former president come in and make a big show out of this, and in the process spend a whole lot of money. So I think in the end, if this is a flimsy case, somebody's going to be scrutinized for this loss.
And of course, that's probably why we see the next court date in December. Not next month like the average person.
Right before the Republican convention.
Well, there you go. There you go. Eric Dick, attorney, you have been through cases, not cases like this, but arraignments and all of this. So tell us your thoughts on the strength of the case from Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in New York City. What do you think about this case?
So historically, when public officials, elected officials, or former elected officials are prosecuted, district attorneys are successful when they're simple, like stealing money, that type of stuff, or they get prosecuted usually. But here this is complicated. They have to start splaining, as you know, Ricky would say to Lucy, and it causes a problem. They're going to lose a jury. And just the fact is just doing this jury is going to be difficult in of itself. I've tried a lot of cases. I don't see how you're not going to get a jury that already has a strong opinion. You're going to have to go through a lot of jury pools. This is a difficult case for Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and they might have bit off more than they can chew, considering that every time that they're going to have a court appearance, they're going to have to shut down an entire block. And if they did have the trial, you're talking about shutting down the whole area for about a month, 30 days. It would be a big spectacle, as it was today, and it'll continue to be a spectacle every time that they have people there. You know, wherever he's there, you're going to have half the people up front, or a large portion saying put Trump in jail, a large portion saying he's a victim. And this is not, it does not make good for the judicial branch. It makes it very bad for the judicial branch.
Dr. Ruth Ola said, just because it may be inconvenient, should we say, well, just let him go, don't worry about it, forget it?
Well, this is not a good day for our country. Nobody should be rejoicing about this. It's terrible that this is the lead story in the world, a former president being indicted. But an indictment is not a conviction. So it's not any there's still no reason for people to be jumping and shouting and that they won anything. So it's just not a good day. It's not a good look. At the same time, it does show some hope in that no one is above the law. If he really did break some laws, then he's being held accountable for that, no matter what it cost. And I don't necessarily disagree with these guys that it maybe costs too much, but it does say something that even he can be indicted and that no one is above the law in our country. And I think that's a good message as well.
Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld from the University of Houston downtown, for the layman out there who may be saying, okay, he's accused of paying this woman hush money, but that's not the crime. It's the way the money was used related to campaign. But why do we see 34 counts for one situation for the layman out there? And Eric, if you want to jump in as well. But
right.
Go ahead.
And asking me to explain something in concise or simple terms, I see how it is.
You're the Factor's personal brainiac,
Okay.
So you know.
The main reason is to make sure that each of those that can be sort of proven and then building the case upon it are then compounding to justify not only the expense from a pragmatic standpoint, but from a legal standpoint, you want to make sure that even if 24 of those don't stick, the other 10 do. And so you're sort of creating a body of evidence, but each of these substantiates the other. And so you're going to be able to recycle witnesses, you're going to be able to recycle depositions, and all of this makes a grander case. I agree with the good doctor that we're looking like Pakistan or Russia in some of this sort of theatrical aspect. I mean, how many years ago was this? And the taxpayers are going to bear a burden for this with the Secret Service protection, street closures for New York residents, those businesses that lose customers because the press are blocking the door. All of this is going to cost us money. Justice needs to be served. President Grant apparently got a speeding ticket once from an African-American police officer in D.C. back in the 1800s. Just learned about that. So, I mean, I think justice has to be served, but how they're going to do it is compounding all these things and building a stronger case, and then also just doubling down, sort of hammering the jury with all of these different facts.
Well, the political aspect is the big thing here. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of worry about whether or not they convict Trump. What they're worried about is who gets elected president in 2024. I mean, the timing isn't a coincidence.
So you really believe this prosecutor is solely focused on politics and stopping Donald Trump?
And most people agree with me. This is about, Donald Trump likes this. This is basically handing him the Republican nomination. This is solidifying his base. He made a speech tonight that was fantastic, one of the best speeches he ever made, because he had substance to it now that he didn't have before. Democrats are happy because if he gets the nomination, they think they can win. They're a lot more afraid of Ron DeSantis than they are Donald Trump. So politics has everything to do with this.
Well, I think the judicial system has been used previously with other elected officials and former elected officials. You had that with Edwards. He had a charge that was similar to this, but it was too confusing. The jury got hung up on it. It was a hung jury. You know, they stopped prosecuting it. You had the same thing go on with Rick Perry. That got dismissed. You had the same thing going on with Ken Paxton. That, even though it's a clearer kind of charge.
What the hell is going on with that?
It's dying. It's dying a slow, quiet death. That's what's happening with it. And that's the problem.
We'll let you finish after the break. We'll be back with more Factor with our guests. We'll continue this conversation. Stay with us here on The Factor.